The idea came to me when I was trying to solve a problem, one that most businesses have grappled with, I think. What makes some employees very energized, very excited about work, come to work and try and do their best, often go the extra mile, whereas others just kind of pitch up? I mean, it may well come down to there's a bunch of lousy employees out there, but it's not really helpful to think that way. As leaders, I think what we have to try and do is think in terms of what we can do to change that. My research led me to something quite interesting. I call it the myth of work-life balance. And think of it like this. We speak about work-life balance as if somehow it's the solution to all of our woes. Because work's so hard and we're there all the time, we work longer now than we ever have, somehow the idea of work-life balance seems to suggest that if we, I don't know, take up mountain biking or spend more time with the kids, that we might somehow achieve a greater deal of balance. Work might become easier for us. Maybe. I think this is the problem very simply. The reason we speak about work-life balance is simply this. Work doesn't feel enough like life. What I mean by that is this. I'm the head of a household, which means I have property, I have little people, I have animals. I have a corner of the world where I get to make the rules. They're mine, which means I have status. I have trust in my relationship. Maybe I'm lucky, I know, I hope it's the same for everybody. But for me, trust goes beyond fidelity. We take care of the bills together, and we don't have a lot of status update meetings or spreadsheets to fill in to make sure it's happened. My opinion is valued. That's a big thing. And I don't always have the dominant voice, but it's rare that anything happens in my house that I don't know anything about. And hands down, the best thing about being an adult is that I get to pick who I spend time with. If I find you fascinating, I might befriend you. Come over to my place, let's have a bride. If I don't have to call you. That's my life. And it's very easy for me to be enthusiastic about that because I built it. It was made for me. But when I come to work, something quite different happens. Far from being the head of a household, my status is dictated by somebody else entirely, and it often has absolutely nothing to do with how I perceive my status to be. I'm not trusted. I mean, I'm not specifically not trusted, but we write policies to protect ourselves as organizations against the 3% of people who might mess us around, and in the meantime, we handcuff the 97% who are never going to do it in the first place. And I see that. My opinion's never asked for. Or if it is asked for, I don't really think you'll do anything with it, but for the most part, there isn't really even a mechanism to get to it. But if I can feel trusted, and I can't use my intuition and my intuitiveness, and you're not asking for my opinion, then how am I supposed to take ownership of everything? But this is maybe the killer. Far from being able to pick who I spend time with, what typically happens is that on Monday morning, the boss will turn up and say, here's Kevin, make him feel at home. But I don't like Kevin. I wouldn't pick Kevin. I wouldn't choose to spend time with Kevin in a million months of Sundays. And so what happens is I end up adopting a totally different persona when I come to work, where I'm very engaged and excited about my life. I put on a work hat and just go through the motions of work. It's a natural response. If we want to understand, truly understand, what it is that makes some employees very engaged and other employees not, I think it makes sense for us to understand that work-life balance is probably a myth, and that what we need to be doing is making work feel more like life.